All right, boys. How many? What? We're 100 chapters deep. I think we got 3 more on them. 3 more on them. 3 more on them. How many do you think it? I think we got maybe 6. 6 may be a lot though. 6 may be a lot. What you got? He'll go 7 times. 7? 7 times. Oh, you sneak! Thank you to our $5 patrons, Red Wolf 4765, Midnight Gemlord, and Sean. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. Now, before this breakdown / discussion on how the Night of Death shall continue to be used and abused, please remember to leave your own thoughts on Percy is going to be used and abused in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, use that little notification so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you do a Patreon below. You can support as low as $1 a month, and exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the discussion. What's up, guys? Welcome here, and yeah, I think we need to talk about death of the death. Because Percy is the death, and he keeps dying. So the thing is, right, I like many others, 100% acknowledge the fact that Percy is a main character. And something you'll notice across many works of fiction, dark, comedic, lighthearted, serious, the main character is not immune to death. But what they are immune to is staying dead permanently, right? Like, think about almost every single popular main character. They've likely died and then been resurrected, but then likely have died and then been resurrected. That's a common trope. I can think of a couple off my dome. Heck, the main character of the previous series, Meliodas, died multiple times within the same series. Heck, Elizabeth, the other main character of Seven Deadly Sins, died literally over 100 times. These characters are not immune to death. However, the thing is, right, usually it's like a big deal. It's a slobber knocker, if you will. This is not just like a chapter ender. This is an arc ender. This is how you cap off the end of an arc. Like when Meliodas passed away in the original Seven Deadly Sins, in the main timeline, we had a 6-month time skip. Like things were serious. Percy? Bro was gone for what? 1 chapter? Not even. Brody didn't even last a chapter. And the both times where Percy got, he was revived the next chapter. Let's go way back in time, back to reality, to chapter 19. In chapter 19 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, Ironside literally puts his blade through Percy's heart after he was stepping on his face and milli rocking on any block over his body. Like, legitimately, Percy is gone. The light has left his eyes. His own squad was looking at him, and they realized Brody was gone. The magic disappeared. Brody was GG'd. We ended the chapter with that. Gone. Percy, finished. You can go way back in time, back to reality. And you listen to that song. But regardless, you can go way back to that review, which is on the channel. Peep it. But, like, legitimately, you can go back to that review and see me being like, wow. He gone. Like his magic gone and everything. We're done, son. And you know what happened in chapter 20? It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 pages for him to be brought back. We didn't even get a whole full chapter of him being gone. Bro came back and rest immediately in the most recent chapter. Let me take you forward in time, forward in reality, to chapter 96. You know what we like to call chapter 96? We call that bad boy Battle City. You know what happened in Battle City? Macduff proved that he's a real A1 battler because he came in, blitzed everybody, grabbed Percy by the neck and said, "You want to see our magic trick?" And then got Percy up out of here. Bro was gone. Once again, we see it drop. The colors fade. The life leaves Percy's eyes. His neck is not necking anymore. He, as Chion says, is already gone. We end the chapter with that. And guess what? Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 pages later. 13. Heck, make it 12. Make it 12 gosh darn pages later, and a little bit of crying, a little bit of hope, and bada bing, bada boom, Percy's back like he never left. Call him the 2 for 6 at Mick. No, okay, let me stop. But regardless, bro has resurrected twice. And the second time, we even got less time with him being gone. So what does this mean? It means I think Percy's going to die a lot. Like, legitimately, I know this sounds bad. I think we're going to get, like, if the reason I went with 7 is because 7 Deadly Sins, obviously. And also, like, if you think 4 Knights and 7 Deadly Sins are going to be about the same length, he could literally die every 50 chapters. Like, think about it. He died within the first 50 in chapter 19. And then came back in chapter 20. He died within the second 50, chapter 96. He's back in chapter 97. He could die once again in the 100 to the 150s, die once again in the 151 to the 200, die once again in the 201 to the 250, die once again in the 251 to the 300, and then die once again in the 350. Ooh, but that would actually be 8. That wouldn't be 7. Because, hold on, let me double check. No, I'm right. It literally could be 7. 7 Deadly Sins, at least where I have it, is like 346 chapters long. We literally have 350. He could just we end the series chapter 346. That'd be the one time he stays gone, when he dies in chapter 346. But that's the thing, we could literally have 7 deaths, and I think it could kind of work on the spacing front, because like every time we get comfortable with Percy, he then dies. okay, but that's the thing. I do think Percy's kind of just gonna be a death surrogate, and why really is the question. Like, why would we keep doing this? Why would he do this? Especially if it's going to keep losing impact every single time. Once again, we don't even get much, like in comparison to the revival the first time, whereas this big dramatic moment where Percy explodes with magic and he just comes back and lifts his friends into the heavens, his cape expands, and he fights against Ironside to do the darn thing. Yeah, I don't know, at least so far in chapter 97, he kind of just comes back with a gasp, and then it's like, oh, well, as a wise person pointed out in the comment section, yeah, I died, but I got better. And he just came back. It was all fine. We even have a little mini Percy playing the trumpet for him on his return. So, what's the dealio here? Is this just going to be the norm, or are we just going to keep getting less and less impact as he goes? Is this going to be just something that happens? Like, it's fine. You don't necessarily have to have weight to your deaths in the series. And I think 7 Deadly Sins does a really good job with faking you out by consistently executing characters and then bringing them back only for when they really execute a character. Escanor. It actually hurts. Like, legitimately, up until 7 Deadly Sins ended, I was waiting for Escanor to walk out the back door of the boar's hat and be like, hi, I'm still alive. Sorry, you saw the facsimile of me go away. That was just Sun itself, sending me off into the heavens. But I'm back. But no, that never happened. Because, he actually went permanently. And I think something similar is going to happen with Percy, right? Like, obviously, I feel like Nakaba's building to something with all these deaths. Like, to be fair, it's only 2. But even still, 2 deaths for the main character before we even hit the 100 chapter mark is kind of rare. Like, how many main characters can you really name that have done? I'm trying to think. Yusuke. But he only did once. So, like, and most isekai protagonists. But even still, they usually only got 1 about 100 chapters in. This is probably, if we're going by the pacing of the original series, that's 24 episodes, though. That's the thing. The original series anime covered a lot within its time frame. So, hypothetically, this could still be season 1 content we're seeing here. I highly doubt it. Four Knights is coming out very, very soon. So maybe it'll only be a 12-episode anime. We'll only get up to, like, the Leonis arc, or the intro to the Leonis arc. Maybe something like that, or not. Not exactly sure how far the anime is going to go. Still need to make a video on that before the anime comes out. That deadline is approaching ever quicker. But with that being the case, with Percy already going twice before we hit the 100 chapter mark, it leaves a question. What is Nakaba building to? Obviously, there's the whole thing about the mini Percys and like the common theory that's going around that they may just literally be dead souls following him around, and every single time he resurrects or heals somebody, it's one of these souls sacrificing themselves because Percy is death. And we'll talk about that in its own video, but I do think that Nakaba is sort of building a cushy wall around Percy, because what he's conditioning us to believe is that no matter what, unless you like literally atomize him, which some characters could do. There are some characters who could definitely atomize Percy. There are beings with beams. But with that being the case, unless you completely atomize Percy, as long as his body's still there, he can resurrect. He can come back. And I think Nakaba, once again, kind of like how he did with a lot of other characters in the original series to build up to Escanor's death, is he's slowly building this wall of security around Percy. This idea that no matter what, Percy can always come back. He's safe. He's fine. I would never execute the main character. And typically, mangaka do this in other ways. They don't usually just continue to execute their main character and bring them back. They'll usually slay characters around the main character. Sort of like getting them to believe that, oh yeah, everyone can go except the main character. But then, boom, bada bing, crazy, main character actually goes. That's usually how they do it. I believe there's a certain popular series that's out and about right now that did it exactly that way. And if you know what series I'm talking about, you know what series I'm talking about. But I feel like the same thing's happening with Percy right now. He's slowly but surely being established as someone who is eternal. Someone who could never go. Someone who would never actually permanently go. Come on, he's the Knight of Death. How are you going to bring death to the death? It's an impossibility. Heck, it's a living, breathing, walking contradiction. There's just no way. But then he's actually going to go. He's going to perish in the same way that he's perished so far, you know, a stab to the heart, a breaking of the neck, a removal of the limbs, anything you really want to do. But then he won't get up. And then we'll feel real proper despair. In comparison to now, where I'm assuming most people are indifferent. If you were to look at the comment section on chapter 96's video and a lot of the comments and just in general around the Four Knights community, no one actually believed Percy was going to go. The first experience already conditioned us to that. So Nakaba is just furthering and furthering the conditioning by continuously breaking Percy, tearing him apart. And that's the general narrative purpose I see with having Percy, you know, consistently just and just keep resurrecting. But I also think there's another reason we're doing this now and setting it up early. I think Percy's going to go slightly insane. Like, I think there's going to be actual character implications for this. Notably, it does explain here that Percy doesn't actually remember what happens. In chapter 97, he straight up says, oh yeah, I kind of just remember he grabbed my head and then that's it. He gets cut off and that's all. So we don't exactly know what he experiences, but I think we are going to build to the fact that he may break by consistently going. Because right now he's gone in ways that are extremely painful. Like, personally, I don't know if y'all have ever been stabbed through the heart, but as a person who went through that personally, it's not fun. And if just in case for you guys who haven't been, you know, pierced through the heart, I can tell you, also getting your neck snapped is not that cool. The regeneration process takes forever because you have so many complex little bone structures in there, and when they're shattered in that particular way, they need to like realign themselves. It's not a fun experience, and I think we could definitely have a person as sadistic, uncaring, and hate-filled as Arthur definitely just start to repeatedly execute Percy and let him keep reviving. Like, straight up, he could put Percy in like this endless torture loop where he's just constantly dying in different ways. Remember what he did to Ironside, one of his own men. Do you remember what he did to that poor fairy that did nothing but exist and get called out for? Remember all that? And you know what he did to them? Imagine what he's going to do to one of his immortal enemies. Like, literally, quite literally, immortal enemies. So I could definitely see Percy developing this really strange relationship with death where he goes through it so much. It becomes such a common occurrence for him that Percy can't necessarily find the line anymore. Like, legitimately, he's suffered so much different pain and agony and stuff like that that he's literally just gone. This sort of broken creature trapped between life and death. There are certain characters in fiction who portray this really, really well, but they're all spoilers, so I don't want to say but if you know which characters I'm talking about, those characters that really like walk on this weird purgatorious line where they're just constantly either alive or dead, and they have to struggle with that fact that they can never necessarily live on either side because they're always being dragged back to life, but they're never fully allowed to stay alive. I can see Percy definitely developing like that, especially considering we do have a time skip that's pretty much heavily implied within the series. We know Guinevere supposedly sees Lance for the last time at 23. That's at least a 7-year time skip from now. I could definitely see a Percy that's been older and grizzled by war and stuff like that, going through countless conflicts, really feeling this weird emptiness in life where he just feels like he's a being that's meant to support the life of others, even though he can't have a life himself. And he's stuck in this awkward limbo in between where he has nothing to do except hope for the sweet release or hope for a permanent existence, neither of which he can have, as he's perpetually a living being that represents death itself. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I'm very intrigued to see where Nakaba goes with the endless deaths of Percival the Deaf. However, that's what I think. Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure the notifications bells will be on any videos that come to the channel. Also do a Patreon down below. You support videos as $1 down. Then let's do some videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Nakaba with Pencil, writing off.